I am very excited this week because I get to take you on the road with me to Studley Castle. Look at that amazing building. Yep, I get to work in places like this and you get to come with me. I am really excited this week because I get to take you on the road with me. It's been a long day, so I have checked in and I'm about to make it to my room. And what I thought I would do is I would pop on some gin jams. We can sit down together and have a cup of tea. I've been sent lots of questions from you guys. Thank you very much. And I'll do a bit of a Q&A tonight. Then what I might do is have a bit of a sleep and then take you for a walk around the castle and the grounds tomorrow morning and answer the rest of the questions. But in the meantime, look at this amazing room. And there's more. Come with me. I absolutely love my job. What a privilege to get to work in places like this. Come on, I need to get into my room. It's been a very long day. Whew. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look at this. That is a reward for a weary traveller. Gorgeous. That's so sweet, look. Some bubbles. And I won't be able to resist these. Macaroons. Oh my God, coconut macaroons. That was totally worth the drive. Chef's kiss. The end of a long day. So firstly, I want to just say thank you to everyone who sent a question in, either here on YouTube or on my Instagram. I've actually had so many questions that I'm not sure it would be interesting for you to hear all of the answers tonight or tomorrow morning when I take you on a little walk around the castle. So I'll do as many as I can today to keep you interested. And then maybe I'll do some more next time as well. So let's kick off. I have got them all typed up here. Very efficient. The first question I have is where someone has said, how many ghosts do you think there are in your little castle? So for those of you who are new here, hello. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mok and I live in a little Elizabethan castle in rural Wales with my husband and 2 dogs. And we moved there nearly 5 years ago now. And we discovered we weren't the only people or the only animals living in the little castle. Now I've seen one. I have seen what we believe now is an executioner going up the stairs in the hall to collect prisoners who were kept in our bedroom, which was at the time a barn before they were executed in the pub up the road. I have heard from my neighbours that they have seen a young boy sitting at one of the bedroom windows, and as our house was at one time the village school, and legend has it that a young boy died at the school and has never left, people have seen him sitting at the window. And then, this is the one I'm really interested in. There is Gladys. So Gladys was born in our castle and died there in 1997. And in her will, she asked to have her remains put into the cherry tree, which she planted by the turret as a child. Now, I have spoken to a psychic and Gladys has come through and spoken to me about the work that I'm doing in the castle. She's also told me off for letting the other ghosts run amok. But people have seen her walking up and down the Great Hall. The previous owner of the castle actually was picked up at the top of the stairs and carried gently down. So I've seen one, I hear there are three. I have actually seen some eyes staring out at me as well from behind the door of the snug, so who knows? Anyway, all are welcome in the castle as long as they're friendly. And I always say, I'm only a temporary resident. They'll be there long after I've left. However, I love living there so much. You know what? I'm tempted to stay forever like them. So I've got a question saying, what is your business and the work you do in London? So if you are regular on the channel, you'll see that I hop up and down to London quite a lot. I'm fortunate enough to have a flat in Chelsea, and I stay there a couple of nights a week, although that will be ending soon because I'm currently converting our stables into an Airbnb. By the end of the year, I will be retiring from work and running that full time. I'm hoping the stables will open up in about May. And if you have a look at my channel, you'll see some of the stories I've been posting and some of the videos I've been posting talking about the progress of the stables renovation. It's nearly done, but the work I do. So I work in transformation, culture, and leadership. So I go into large organisations and I help them think around, what does it feel like to work around here? How can we really make it a best place to work for our employees? How do we want our leaders to lead? I often work with executive teams. Today I was working with a group of chefs, and tomorrow, hence the reason I am here in this lovely castle tonight, I'm working with the leadership team here about how they can really make the most magical moments for their employees on shift. I also teach on an MBA program at a business school. I've written a book which is all about innovation, but my real job, the real thing I want to spend most of my time on, is looking after the castle, looking after the 2 grounds, and hosting guests in my Airbnb. Someone's asking me what things are different in the upkeep of the castle to upkeep of normal dwellings. That's lovely, I love that, normal dwellings. Well, I guess it's a normal dwelling to me. I think the main thing is this building is very old. It's an historic house. Parts of it date back to the Elizabethan age. So it's a living, breathing entity. You have to respect the bones and the walls of the place. So when I go away, I make sure that all the cupboards are open so everything gets aired. Certainly you have to choose your paints with care. When I first moved in, I repainted the turret and the turret kitchen, beautiful, what I thought were lovely heritage colours, not knowing I had to use lime wash, and it all peeled off and it was absolutely horrendous, and I had to scrape it back and repaint it. So that's something there. I also think you have to realise that the work here is never done. Actually, there's always a path to be redone because it's so old. The turret has leaked a couple of times. I did some work last year. It's not quite dry this winter. I've got someone coming in to do some more work on the roof. All of the wooden frames on the windows will need to be stripped down and varnished this year. We need to make sure that when we get damp, that it is dealt with immediately, scraped back, new lime washing, and that is expensive. I hadn't quite realised how expensive it is to upkeep a building like this. So a small portion outside the turret bedroom, small portion of wall where the hopper or the drain on the other side on the outside, the leaves weren't removed by the person I had paid to remove the leaves from the gutter. It was too high up and for whatever reason they didn't do it. The leaves got really wet over winter, the gutter backed up, and then water came in through the wall, lots of damp on the wall outside the turret. I had to get some dehumidifiers to dry it off, and it cost nearly £5,000 to have that wall fixed, to have it lime plastered, to have it repainted. So it's an expensive job, but I wouldn't spend my money any other way. I've got a question here from Jane, my Pilates teacher at PT Pilates in Usk. Thank you, Jane. She has asked me what is the thing I like most about reformer Pilates. That's very interesting. I took up Pilates almost a year ago. I suffer from ulcerative colitis. I'm 57. I was really struggling with some weight issues and with my general fitness, travelling. I drive about a minimum of 6 or 7 hours a week, so I can often feel very crunched up. It's Wednesday I'm filming this and I've already driven for 12 hours this week. So I can often feel very compacted. I guess on a personal level, what I love about reformer Pilates is that I feel really tall and really stretched out, and my posture, look at me, I'm leaning over all the time or leaning in the car. My posture improves when I do reformer Pilates. Everything stretches out. My colitis, I get released in my stomach, I feel longer, my hamstrings, because I've been driving so much, get released. So that's what I personally love about it. That's what I get out of it. But I've also recently started doing a reformer Pilates teacher training course with Jane. I'm not sure I'm going to teach. I might just deepen my own practice, or maybe I'll open a little reformer Pilates studio in Abergavenny. Who can say? But one of the things I love about reformer Pilates, it's incredibly inclusive. Literally, it is for anyone with any body. It doesn't matter how fit you are, how big or how small you are, what weight you are, what gender, what sex, what sexuality, or your age. Everyone can do something on the reformer Pilates carriage. And as I'm going through my training, I'm learning this sort of prep work, which is a very basic level of exercise. And then usually you get levels of progression. So I'm not at the most advanced level myself yet, but some of the exercises I can do fairly advanced, but some of the exercises I'm still at a fairly basic level. And what I love about that is that anyone, no matter what body size you are, no matter how old you are, you can always improve your fitness levels with reformer Pilates. My favourite word in the world, and I've talked about it on here before, is onwards. Just small micro steps of progression. And what I love about reformer Pilates is it has that progression built in. Now, it is getting quite late. And what I think I will do is I will pop to bed, and then tomorrow morning I will take you for a walk around the castle and I will answer the other questions. So for now, night night, don't go anywhere. I'm coming back after a good night's sleep. I think I look like one of the ghosts in the castle. So here is the castle in the morning, an amazing example of Victorian Gothic. And I particularly like it because it has a really strong women's history. So it was owned by a number of women throughout its history, and during the Second World War was used to train women in agricultural skills so they could feed the nation. I absolutely love it. My meetings start in a little bit, so I thought I would take you on a walk around the castle grounds and answer the rest of the questions. But before I do that, hello, good morning. I hope you slept well. I did absolutely wonderfully. And if you've been with me for a while, you know my favourite sound in the world is the sound of gravel. Oh, it's just so soothing and so expensive. Nothing like it, and nothing like that. Let me carry on answering some of the Q&As from last night. I'm sorry I didn't finish them all last night. I have to be honest, I've had a very long week. It's been very busy, and I just needed to have a little bit of rest. So I have been asked, do I cook and what is my favourite dish? I have to be very honest, I'm not much of a chef. Joe, my husband, is the real cook in the house. He's absolutely amazing, perhaps a little bit more adventurous than me. I'm from Irish heritage. My parents are very plain cooks, and I love nothing better than a plain steak and chips. So no, I don't cook. I do a mean grilled cheese sandwich, which really is actually fried in the pan. And if you ever come to the castle, I'll make one for you. I learned how to do it when I lived in New York. Oh, I'm very good at doing grilled cheese sandwiches. Another question was, am I the only person in my family that has seen a ghost? The answer is no. My father actually has seen a couple of ghosts, and there is some folklore in our family about my grandmother leaving something behind to tell us a tale after she passed away. So do you want to hear about my father and the ghosts he saw, and my grandmother and the sign that she left behind? If you do, let me know below and I'll include it in my next video. I thought I'd pause from walking at the moment and just answer a final couple of questions. I've been asked before I lived there, was there anyone famous who I know lived in the little castle? Well, there is Gladys, she's famous to me, and I'm going to do a story about her in a couple of weeks and how she ended up being buried under the tree by the turret. But before we moved there, no one massively famous, but there is quite a lot of history. As I said, it was the village school, and also it was a prisoner of war camp in the Second World War. So our paddock was full of these huts, and literally mainly Italian prisoners lived in those huts during the Second World War, and they spent their days working in the local farms, and at night they were incarcerated in the huts. And that was something that the British government did in the Second World War. They incarcerated citizens from countries they were at war with, and they put them in these camps around the country. They weren't tortured, they weren't treated badly, they just were denied their freedom, and it was seen as national security. And in fact, many of them married locals, and if you go around the mountains of where I live, there's lots of Italian surnames, which is quite funny. And some people have turned up at the castle and said, "Oh, my grandfather used to live in your field, can I come and have a look?" That's quite nice, and of course I always say yes. I've had lots of other questions, and what I thought I would do is pick them up over the next couple of weeks in my video. So if you have another question for me, why don't you pop it below and I'll get to it over the next couple of weeks. There have been lots of questions about how I dealt with grief and how I built myself back from having absolutely no money and got to the point where I've got a flat in Chelsea and a little castle in rural Wales. I think it's probably too much content to include in this video here, so I will make sure. Oh, I've just seen a deer, hold on. Oh, I couldn't carry on talking and wants to share that with you. Just to go back, people have asked me about how I dealt with grief and how I rebuilt my life from having absolutely no money, having to sell my home at a loss and losing my job. And there's a lot to it. I didn't want to trivialize it or rush it. So if you like, I will do a whole video about that in the next couple of weeks. So if you'd be interested in how I rebuilt my life to the point where here I am in Studley Castle, and that tonight I'm going to my own little castle about the size of that bit there, then I'm happy to do a video. But for now, it was lovely to take you on my travels with me. I'm about to go and have my first meeting of the day, but wherever you are and whoever you love, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish you well, and I wish you joy. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me at Studley Castle. Come on, I've got to go to work.